This is everything I get wrong about Parks on the Air and ham radio. Well, almost everything. If you think about the fact that you are not just some videos you see, you're going out to a park and it's activated in the video within 10 minutes and things are all well, but you don't see the journey and the progression of how you got to that park and maybe some of the things you forgot here. I, number one, tend to forget quite a few things when I go to the park. I like to keep my vehicle loaded with my ham gear, but I also live in a suburb of Chicago where who knows what could happen, so I do take my gear out of my vehicle very frequently at night. What that does is it creates the possibility that I'm going to forget equipment at home. I have in the last week probably not been able to activate 2 parks because I failed to bring either coax or some kind of connector that I needed. That's the first thing I'm going to do right now is I'm going to make sure that I have all my gear. So I'll be right back.
Hey, everybody. Sorry for the mess, but I really don't care, actually. Hey, this video was supposed to be just an episode about kind of the things that I've went and found along the way doing Parks on the Air and have went wrong. So maybe people don't make those mistakes. But actually, this whole episode ended up being one huge failure. And I wanted to kind of just put this out there because there's going to be a lot of people out there who may have had these failures. A lot of people getting started in radio who this might actually have discouraged them. And I'm here to tell you to keep pressing on if you're really interested in radio, because we all make mistakes. And yeah, you'll see right here.
Right, so the number one thing I always get wrong before going to do Parks on the Air is I never do a gear check. I will be the first person to openly and honestly admit that I never check that I have the correct gear. So today I'm going to do it because that is the right thing, and I've been doing this wrong about ham radio and Parks on the Air a lot. So just a brief overview, and there is something that I know I forgot, so I'm not even going to tell you that I have it with me, because when we get to the park, you're going to see how that could have been a problem. The first thing I have, we're going to start as basic as I could think of. What do I need to operate portable ham radio? The first thing I need is an antenna. So I actually have a toy box antenna, and I have a Super Dude spike antenna system with a Wolf River coil or an MFJ 1979. I'm not sure what it is. Doesn't matter. So we have the toy box, and we have all the sections for the toy box. I go through this. We have the toy box antenna, which uses an SO239 to connect. So now I'm going to need coax. Okay. I can see here that I have 50 feet of RG8X from Cable Experts, and that is PL259, so that should be fine. It'll plug into the toy box or the tripod that I'm using. And by the way, this tripod, I'll link a video below and send it a link to the Amazon page as well. You'll see that set up out in the field here in just a bit. So we got the coax, which will then go into a radio, because I'm not going to use an antenna tuner. Although I have one, I'm not going to use it. And I actually did rebuild this, if you guys have seen that video. So we're going to go into a radio. Today we're using the Lab 599, which is the TX500. It is going to be a BNC male that needs to plug in. I'm going to need to go in the house, good thing I was thinking about this, and get an adapter for PL259 to BNC male. And I don't know that I have one, so we'll see. If not, we'll make something work. Now we have a microphone. We're going to need a microphone, which is also a speaker for the TX500. I have that. I can see that right there. A power cable, and this is a unique power cable for the TX500. So we got that, which means we also need something to power it. And today I'm using an 86DM battery from Denko Batteries. Thanks, Adam, Dennis. And I do have a backup battery, which is in another bag, 16 amp hours. With a 100-watt radio in case I'm going to need it. But we're going to try to activate with the toy box antenna today, because I know that it's typically a bad, or I'm told it's a bad antenna that is worthless. So we'll see about that. And finally, as the backup, I have the Super Dude spike, like I mentioned. I think I have everything in there. Radio, microphone, power source, antenna, coax. The one thing that I know I forgot, which, the connector I need to go get again. Anyway, we've done that check a couple times. Let's get out to the park. Well, let me go get that part, and then let's go to the park, and we'll see how it is to set up here. And I'll talk about some of the things I typically forget when I'm doing radio. All right, so I've been looking through my house, and I can't find a
SO239 to BNC male connector. I'm going to have to adapt to this, and it's not going to be the most ideal solution. So what I always get wrong in amateur radio, this isn't the first time I've had this problem, but I never write things down to know that I'm supposed to order it online later. And if you guys know my previous episodes, I don't remember things very well sometimes. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to make a big, you know what? I'm just going to go upstairs and order this real quick. Come on. If you're not aware, American Radio Supply has quality connectors, unlike the ones you get on Amazon. Get yourself quality connectors if you're going out in the field, because you don't need bad ones to fail on you when you're out there.
This episode sponsored by Foreshadowing.
All right, I found a mail-to-mail, so, well. All right, another thing I realized I probably am going to want is going to be some kind of logbook, because today I'm going to be using my phone, which I usually use for logging, to record video. So that was smart. I got a pen in the truck, I'm nearly certain.
I'd like to give you an example of why I say know your park before you actually get to the park. Over November, I flew out to Las Vegas, and from Las Vegas, I flew north. My whole goal and objective was to activate parks on the way to Area 51. Multiple problems with that. When you get north of, when you get north of Las Vegas, here's where the issue occurs. You lose cell phone service. And what happens when you lose cell phone service? You don't have the ability to look at your phone and spot yourself where you're letting people know you're going to go out and do a parks on the air activation. You lose the this needs to shut up. You lose the ability at that point to let everybody know that you're going to be activating, but also you lose the ability to get your park number. When you're doing parks on the air, every park has a unique identifier, and when you call CQ and you're calling for other stations, you identify with that unique park identifier. If you don't have it, you could get it by talking to other people. You know, hey, could you tell me what the park number is for where I'm at? But the problem with that is sometimes when you're in those really remote locations and you bring a QRP radio, if somebody's not listening for you, you might not make the contact. So you want to know your park boundaries. And another example of that, here in the Midwest, we have cell phone service quite a bit of places. So what's the big deal? Well, I'm at a park right now. It's Moraine Hills State Park in Illinois, northern Illinois. And on the other side of the road is the McHenry Dam. Now, unknown to me still to this day if the McHenry Dam is actually part of the state park. If I were to look at the map boundaries, which this park happens to have a free map. If I were to look at the park boundaries and this park happens to have a free map, I could look here and see that it appears that the dam across the street is within the boundaries, so I would be good. But if you're not operating within the boundaries of the state park and you're calling CQ for parks on the air, you're kind of you're ruining the purpose. And well, you didn't really prepare yourself for that either. So those are just a couple of reasons why you want to prepare yourself with the information about the park. And I'm going to throw out one more for a bonus. If you pack for parks on the air and you think you're going to go to a picnic bench like we are, and then you find out that it's actually maybe quite a hike to any kind of area where you could set up your equipment, or maybe you bring the wrong equipment, you bring a huge antenna and you only have a small space to set up, you might have failed yourself right there, buddy. So let's get everything set up, and we're going to try to activate, and I'm going to get all that information for the park that I said you should have prepared, because again, this video is everything I do wrong, almost everything, not even close to everything, in ham radio. So let's go do that. All right, well, two things I already forgot, and I'm not going to look them up because I might not always have my phone. I don't have the instructions for the toy box, so I don't know how many elements I need on. I believe I need 2. But for 20 meters, maybe I don't need any of these additional elements. Maybe I just need the antenna. That was my bad, and it's going to pay, or it's going to show here in a minute. But also the other thing I forgot was a SWR meter. Now I want to pack light, but I also want to be prepared. And in that moment, I just didn't bring it. So I'm gonna have to try to set this up without an SWR meter and without knowing how many of these coils I need in here. I'll see you in a minute. So another thing that I forgot here, I'm setting this tripod up and there's supposed to be a radial on here, but I forgot it. And this was the one thing I knew that I was gonna forget at home, and I grabbed it, but I wasn't gonna tell you all. So let me go grab that real quick here out of the bag. And for my radials, I'm actually, it's supposed to be a counterpoise. I'm using 10 radial wires. No, 5 radial wires at 10 feet each. And unfortunately, I need a bigger ring terminal. So I'm not really going to be able to do this unless somehow I find a way to, you know, if this was my only piece of equipment, I would be out of luck right now. But unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess, I say unfortunately because I don't have a hammer, I have the Super Dude spike, so let's go set that up instead. All right, so here we are. We got the Super Dude spike ready to go. If you guys been following the progression here of the Super Dude spike, I want to make just a quick note. A lot of people in my last video may have misunderstood me. This is not ABS or PETG. This is called PA12, and it's nylon. It's as far as I know, if it is 3D printed, it's a different standard, but I don't even believe this is 3D printed, as you can tell by the quality and how it broke in the last episode. Doesn't matter. We're going to test it out, and hopefully we can get it in the ground because I don't have a hammer, but we should be fine. Let's go. Even though the ground is frozen, I managed to get this down just a little bit, but again, it would be nicer if we would have got it down further. It would be more supportive, and it probably will fall out. Again, another mistake I make when doing parks on the air and with amateur radio. If this breaks, I can't do radio today. Oh, I got it in. All right, it's a little bit better now. This is rough. I won't name any names. I'm not going to do that, but I bought this PL259L connector for the Dude spike at Hamcation. And it's very unfortunate that the PL259 doesn't fit in here, and it did on the other one. So I bought multiples of these, and it did on the other one. This one, it's like this internal conductor needs to be expanded out. But this will be trash, and again, that's why I said earlier, use good connectors, man. I think this was $7, and I'm now having a larger problem because I bought a cheap connector. It might not focus, but you could almost see that the milling on this is like, come on. You know, it's not focusing well, but you can almost see that the milling on it is not centered. And I don't know that, when I say milling, I mean the drilling on it is not centered. And I don't know that that's the problem. Fortunately, I had a knife that KWMRD had sent me, which I was kind of able to pop it and pry it a little bit, but it still doesn't fit. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to activate, which is unfortunate, but then I guess that's what this video was kind of going to be about, was all the things I do wrong in amateur radio. I'm still having a good time, and that's what matters. So I'm going to try for a few more minutes. If it doesn't work, yeah, I'm going to call it. Hey, so a bit of a bummer, but no worries. This piece here is just, there's something wrong with it. I've had other ones that weren't giving me issues because I make a few Super Dude spikes now, and there's not been a problem. So I need to consider what's going on there, but that's neither here nor there. I have tried using a knife that KWMRD gave me to kind of pry it open a little bit. That didn't work. Used some keys. I even went as far as, I know this is bad, but taking the spike here and just hitting on here and trying to gently pry down. I need to get separation in there because there's either an obstruction inside, or it's just this thing was drilled too small or something along those lines. But furthermore, when I put the PL259 on, almost this whole piece looks, the SL239 looks kind of small also, like it wouldn't grip anyway. It's really weird. I'm gonna have to go home and figure out what's going on with this. That'll be something I work on later. I could probably try to rig together something with the toy box antenna and this to make some kind of counterpoise system. In fact, I'm thinking about it. I'll be right back. I can't seem to think of anything that would work. You know, unfortunately, again, this doesn't fit on here. I might be able to make the radio wire and just for confirmation, I'm going to try one more thing. I'm going to make sure that it's not just that piece of coax, which I've used many a times, but I got a PL 259 SO239 here, and it screws in just fine. So it was definitely that connector. Let's recap this at home. All right, wait a minute. You know, we're here. You could activate parks on the air on 2 meters. Let's try to activate on 2 meters. I feel like if I don't at least try, then I failed. So we're going to give that a shot here real quick. Let's give it a shot here. You know, in one of these situations, I don't even know that I should try to spot myself on parks on the air, but I'm going to spot myself real quick. Be right back. This is Whiskey 9, Fox, Fox, Fox from Park Kilo 1012 on Parks on the Air, calling CQ. CQ Parks on the Air, CQ Parks on the Air. It's Whiskey 9, Fox, Fox, Fox from Kilo 1012. CQ Parks on the Air, CQ Parks on the Air, any station, any station. This is Whiskey 9, Fox, 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 calling CQ Parks on the Air from Park Kilo 1012, Marine Hills. CQ Parks on the Air, CQ Parks on the Air. This is Whiskey 9, Foxtrot, 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 W9, FFF for Parks on the Air from Moraine Hills, Park Kilo 1012. Well, I guess this is why using 146.52 as a rag chew frequency is kind of a pain for people calling CQ. I guess we'll wait a second here and see what happens, I suppose. I'm sorry, this is Whiskey 9, Fox, Fox, Fox. Was that last transmission for me? Yeah, nothing heard again. This is Whiskey 9, Fox, 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 calling CQ Parks on the Air. CQ, CQ, CQ Parks on the Air. It's Whiskey 9, Fox, Fox, Fox on the calling frequency, calling CQ Parks on the Air. CQ Parks on the Air, CQ Parks on the Air. This is Whiskey 9, Foxtrot, 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 W9, FFF from Park Kilo 1012. It's Moraine Hills State Park here in McHenry, Illinois, calling CQ Parks on the Air on 2 meters, 146.52. I gave it my best effort today, and I think that's the most important thing, is I gave it a good effort. I went out, I identified a lot of flaws that I had in my whole setup. I built a new dude's bike, didn't check it before coming out here, had problems with it, had problems with the counterpoise ring terminal. It was too small for the toy box antenna. You see where all this can progress. So I think what the best thing to do in the future is, and I love that this episode was all the mistakes I make in ham radio, because I literally made them all today and I didn't even intend to. I actually am quite happy about that, because it identifies the things that I'm doing wrong, and I'm able to build and learn from it, and I'm able to get stronger from it. All I could say is I'm going to come out here tomorrow. You better bet I'm going to be prepared. I'm going to have everything ready to go so I can activate this park, and that's the mindset I'm going to have. Maybe one of the best things I could do is one of the things that was suggested to me months ago. I'm a procrastinator, and that would be, I need to make index cards with what activity I'm doing, what equipment I need, how I tested the equipment, little check boxes. That would have been the easiest thing, but because of that, I failed this Parks in the Air activation on the surface. But I think I've really the only way you fail is if you never try again, and that's when you truly fail, right? So we'll call this a fork in the road for today.
Hey, it is okay to be discouraged. If you love this enough, you'll continue to find ways to do what you love. I'm Ham Radio Dude 73, and thank you for watching.